Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? This time, we're tackling Only One Left, the latest thriller from Riley Sager.
Oh yeah, this one's been on my list.
And I know a lot of you have read it already, too. It's gotten quite the buzz. So we're diving into the twisted world of Hope's End, this crumbling mansion perched on a cliff, and its mysterious resident, Lenora Hope, accused, of course, of murdering her entire family.
Classic Gothic thriller setup, right? But there's so much more to it than that.
Exactly. So where do we even begin with a story this layered?
Well, I think what makes Only One Left so compelling is how Sager uses that classic setting to explore the psychological impact of secrets. And not just on, like, one person, but on a whole family, across generations.
Yeah, that ripple effect is so powerful. And then there's Kit McDeere, our protagonist, a young caregiver who's assigned to Lenora.
And she's got her own baggage, right?
Yep.
Accused of causing her mother's overdose.
Right. That parallel between Kit and Lenora, both burdened by these accusations, it just pulls you in immediately.
It's clever.
Yeah.
You see Kit's empathy for Lenora, but also that underlying distrust. Because she knows firsthand how easily narratives can be manipulated.
Okay, so we have these two complex women, each carrying their own secrets. And then there's the setting itself, Hope's End. This, imposing mansion literally falling apart with bloodstains still visible on the grand staircase. Urns with the ashes of Lenora's family on display in the main hall.
It's like the house is a character itself, right?
Totally. A decaying symbol of this family's legacy.
Haunted by its past.
Yeah.
And those visual details Sager uses, the bloodstains, the urns, those are constant reminders of the violence that happened there. They set the stage for a story where the truth is buried under layers of, well, everything.
Deception, maybe even self-deception. And then there's Carter, the groundskeeper. His connection to the Hopes goes back generations, adding another layer of intrigue.
Makes you wonder how much he knows.
Right. Did his father, the previous groundskeeper, ever share any insights? Could he be a key to understanding the family dynamics, the secrets they've guarded for so long?
And speaking of secrets, the way Lenora communicates with Kit is fascinating. She taps her left hand once for yes, twice for no.
But it's her insistence on using an old typewriter to tell her story that really creates this incredible tension.
One word at a time, too.
Yeah. Each word like a piece of this puzzle, slowly revealing a version of events that we're not sure we can trust.
It makes the reader and Kit question everything.
And those events are shrouded in mystery, for sure. It's 1929, Lenora's 17, and her entire family is brutally murdered.
And then there's that chilling nursery rhyme about the killings that cements Lenora's guilt in the public eye. Remember how it goes? It gives me shivers just thinking about it.
Ugh, don't remind me. Sager knows how to get under your skin.
But he doesn't stop there. Then Lenora drops this bombshell. She was pregnant at the time of the murders.
And the father was a servant named Ricardo.
Whole new layer of complexity. Suddenly we have to rethink everything we thought we knew about the Hopes.
Were there hidden relationships, motives we hadn't even considered? Did Ricardo play a role?
And it gets even more twisted when we learn Ricardo had a wife, Bernice.
Who Lenora believes might be connected to this mysterious Mrs. Baker.
And get this. Mrs. Baker has been making monthly payments to Bernice at a local nursing home for years.
Talk about a cover-up.
Right. Makes you wonder what Mrs. Baker knows and why she's so invested in keeping Bernice quiet.
So Kit, determined to find the truth, goes to visit Bernice. And Bernice tells her about this encounter with Lenora on the night of the murders, covered in blood.
She's convinced Lenora was responsible, possibly with Ricardo's help. But then Kit starts noticing things.
Yeah, she begins to question Lenora's supposed physical limitations.
Like that twitch in her right hand, suggesting she might be more capable than she lets on.
Kit's not just accepting things at face value. She's digging deeper, testing the boundaries of what she's being told.
And that leads to a revelation that changes everything.
The big twist. Mrs. Baker is actually Lenora Hope, and the woman Kit has been caring for this whole time, her sister, Virginia.
Wow. Mind blown.
Talk about an identity swap.
It makes you completely reevaluate everything you thought you knew about Lenora and her motivations. Why go to such lengths to protect her sister?
Well, we learn Virginia suffered a mental breakdown after the murders, even attempted suicide.
Leading to lasting trauma.
So Lenora created this elaborate charade to care for her sister, to maintain control of Hope's End.
It's a fascinating look at how far someone might go for family. But it also makes you think about that line between protection and control.
Was Lenora really acting in Virginia's best interest? Or was she driven by something else, a desire to control the narrative, to protect her own secrets?
So many questions, and we haven't even touched on Virginia's version of events.
That's where we're headed next. We'll uncover her secrets, her perspective on that fateful night, and how it all ties back to Kit.
Can't wait to dive in. This is getting good. Okay, so we left off with that massive twist. The woman Kit's been caring for isn't Lenora at all. It's Virginia, her sister. I mean, how does Sager pull that off?
I know, right? Complete misdirection. But it makes you think about everything Lenora said, everything she's done, in a whole new light.
Yeah, like what were her true motives? Was it all about protecting Virginia? Or was there something more to it?
Well, Lenora did say she wanted to punish Virginia, to make her live with the guilt, the weight of what she'd done, keeping her isolated like that, trapped in this charade.
Almost like a twisted sense of justice.
Right. But it also makes you think about the burden Lenora carried all those years. Living a lie, sacrificing her own identity, always looking over her shoulder.
Haunted by the past.
And speaking of the past, we finally get to hear Virginia's side of the story. As she types out her version of events, we learn about her teenage romance with this young man who was hired for seasonal work.
And of course, her secret pregnancy.
And her desperate attempt to run away. It's heartbreaking, really. You see this young woman longing for love and freedom, trapped in this suffocating environment.
It makes you understand her actions, even if they were ultimately,
Devastating.
Right. Her attempt to escape with her lover led to that confrontation with her father. And then the stabbing, the accidental killing of her mother.
It's almost too much to bear.
And then the mental breakdown.
Yeah.
It just shows the psychological impact of that kind of controlling environment, how that yearning for freedom can erupt in, unexpected and tragic ways.
And you can see why Lenora would want to protect her, to create this world where time stood still, where Virginia wouldn't have to face the consequences.
But was it really the right thing to do? I mean, ethically speaking.
That's the question, isn't it? Was Lenora truly acting in Virginia's best interest? Or did she prevent her from facing her past, from truly healing?
It's a tough one. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, Sager throws in another twist.
Oh yeah, the Carter revelation. I totally didn't see that coming.
Me neither.
Yeah.
So his father was the young man Virginia fell in love with.
Making Kit and Virginia cousins.
Talk about a tangled web. It's like all these seemingly separate threads are suddenly woven together.
And it gets even darker because then we learn that Kit's own father, Carter's half-brother, was responsible for Mary's death.
He killed her to protect his family's reputation, afraid she'd expose his connection to the Hopes.
It's a chilling reminder of how far people will go to bury the truth, to protect their own.
And then, of course, there's the collapse of Hope's End, literally falling into the sea.
It couldn't hold the weight of its secrets any longer.
Such a powerful image. It's like the house itself was a symbol of their collective burden.
And its destruction, a kind of reckoning.
Yeah, it forces everyone to confront the truth. There's no more hiding.
But amidst the devastation, there's this glimmer of hope. Kit, Virginia, and Lenora, they all survive.
And Kit and Virginia, now aware of their family history, they decide to face the future together.
It's a beautiful moment of connection. Despite all the trauma, they choose each other.
And it makes you think, what would have happened if Lenora had been honest from the start? Could things have been different?
That's a question that haunts you, right? The ripple effect of choices. How even those made with good intentions can have devastating consequences.
It's a lot to unpack, but we're not done yet. We still need to talk about Lenora's fate and what it all means in the end.
Okay, so we're back, ready to wrap up our deep dive into Only One Left. We've covered a lot of ground, from hidden identities and family secrets to the very nature of truth and deception.
It's been quite a ride. But one thing that keeps sticking out to me is how Sager manages to create this, constant sense of unease throughout the whole book.
Right. Even without any, supernatural elements, it's genuinely creepy. It's all psychological, the way he builds suspense.
I think the setting plays a big part in that, Hope's End, this crumbling mansion on the edge of a cliff.
Oh, absolutely. We talked about it before, how the house is practically a character in itself.
Yeah, it's almost like a reflection of the character's internal states.
As the mansion falls apart, so do their facades, their carefully constructed lies, until finally everything collapses.
And that collapse, both literal and metaphorical, forces them to confront the truth head on.
No more hiding. So what happens to Lenora after all of this? After her world, her control, crumbles around her?
Well, we find her in a nursing home, stripped of her power, facing the consequences of her actions.
It's kind of a sad ending, isn't it?
Yeah, bittersweet. I mean, she's free from the burden of her charade, but But she's also alone, isolated, probably filled with regret.
You wonder if she finds any peace, any forgiveness. Sager doesn't really tell us.
Which makes her character even more fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It's up to us to decide what we think happens to her.
But what about Virginia? After all she went through, all those years of being controlled and manipulated?
It's amazing how resilient she is. Her choice to live with Kit, to build a new life, it's really powerful.
It shows the healing power of connection. Even after such trauma, they find strength in each other.
And it makes you wonder, what if Lenora had been honest from the start? Would Virginia have had a chance to heal sooner? Could all this tragedy have been avoided?
Big questions, right? About the ripple effects of choices. How even the best intentions can lead to unintended, sometimes devastating consequences.
And that's what makes Only One Left such a gripping read. It's not just a thriller, it's a story about family, secrets, the weight of the past.
And those questions stay with you long after you finish the book. It makes you think about your own choices, your own relationships.
It's a powerful reminder that the truth always has a way of coming out, eventually, no matter how hard we try to bury it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are your final thoughts? What resonated with you the most? What interpretations did you come up with? We'd love to hear your perspectives.
And that brings us to the end of our exploration of Only One Left by Riley Sager. It's been a fascinating journey into the heart of a family consumed by secrets and the power of truth to shatter even the most carefully constructed facades. Until next time, keep those pages turning, and we'll be back soon with another deep dive into a world of captivating stories and thought-provoking ideas.